Okay, all right. Before we move to the next presenter, all right. Hello, are you Ray Yati, right?
Yes, I am. Can you see my screen?
Oh yes, I can see. I just have noticed that you have a problem with your camera. Okay, all right. I can see you in our camera.
All right, yeah. If that's okay. Oh, you can see, yeah? Okay, that's great.
Okay. So could you move? Okay, all right.
Sorry, I'm moving. Okay, I'm moving everyone out. Okay, so
All right.
if I may
Okay.
start now.
Yes. Okay. The stage is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank Ajahn Jongsawa and Ajahn Danu Vasin, because this morning I learned that it's a good way to present case studies by storytelling. So I'm kind of doing a little different so that I can do storytelling as well in this session. So from that, I will move on to my screen. Okay. I almost could not have my screen share with my video. That's why I put my own photos in. Apologies for that. So I'm from Chiang Mai, up north, and I'm presenting a case on ecumenical response. But I have some limitations. I write in traditional research style. I have facilitated several Harvard Business Review cases to business and bank executives, but I have never written a proper case study paper. So, but there's always a first time. So I guess this is my first time to do that. And okay, so there's a gap since although they are necessary, but they are insufficient responses to common problems facing, these are my focus here, Asian migrant workers and food security in Asia. And the objectives are threefold. First, to analyze the challenges and impact of COVID-19 on food security and migrant workers. Secondly, to depict the measures that Asian ecumenical movement had done to respond to the needs of migrant workers and for food security. And third, to find out what are the opportunities for the ecumenical movement to perform its duties. So, synopsis, these are the problems pre-COVID and COVID. I'm looking at food security and migrant labor. And what are the research questions and therefore related to the research purpose? One, what are the ecumenical responses before COVID? Two, during COVID. And three, what are the opportunities? Sources of data and confidentiality would be from three sources. Participant observation. I took part in some of these, and most of the sources I use are public records. They're all in the internet. There are news releases about the activities, and there are also public videos on YouTube and Facebook. So these are all public record. So no problem with confidentiality. And actions requested would be for churches and councils of churches for advocacy and action in relation to migrant workers and on the question of food security. And so opening, so who am I dealing with? Asian ecumenical organizations, migrant workers, what? Responses to food security needs and migrant workers' welfare. When? From 2019 to the present. Where? Asia-wide. Why? Because of the negative impact of the pandemic. How? Through advocacy, counseling, food pantry, pastoral care, prayers, referrals, and visitations. So that's the synopsis, basically, of the paper. So that's the outline. And okay, so there are, according to the World Food Program, there are four major problems that occurred right before and during the pandemic. The first being economic crisis and the climate crisis, which has been around, the refugee crisis from Africa, Europe, Middle East, and also here in mainland Southeast Asia, and then health crisis during the pandemic. So research question one and research purpose one to describe the nature of the Asia-wide ecumenical movement. Two, to analyze the challenges and opportunities of the Asian ecumenical movement before the pandemic. Three, during the pandemic. Okay, and then four, what are the tasks ahead? So these are the 4 points of this paper. I defined migrant workers, food security. We can look at them if we have time. And some key issues have to be defined. Religion is not the same as spirituality. This paper deals with spirituality more than religion. What is ecumenism, interfaith, interreligious are very different. And then wider ecumenism. So religion deals with the afterlife. Spirituality deals with the present life here on earth. And when we say ecumenism, my case study is about the ecumenical movement. It's the Orthodox, Protestant, Roman Catholic, and home churches working together. And some of the issues, spiritual, not religious, are development, food security, healing, health, justice, liberation, reconciliation, and peace. And when we say interfaith, it's Christians going beyond all the three major religions which come from the Abrahamic faith, Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. Interreligious is not the same as interfaith because you're talking of everyone else, whatever your belief or lack thereof. That's also known as wider ecumenism. Okay, so it's confusing, I guess. There's a lot of big words there. Site will be Asia because this case study deals with, I'll show you some case studies, comparative case studies where there's conflict, personal, social, data collection, participant observation, public records and videos, data analysis from codes to themes, and sharing of narratives. And this is qualitative sampling based on whoever participated in our planning sessions from 2019 to the present. And then sampling size, it will be representatives of churches and councils of churches. Therefore, non-random, but convenient sampling. And research ethics, no problem with confidentiality, because all of these are a matter of public record. So findings on research question one. What is the nature of the ecumenical movement? It was set up once upon a time in Indonesia, 1957. It moved to Malaysia, then to Singapore, then to Hong Kong, then the Church of Thailand, Church of Christ of Thailand, moved it to Chiang Mai in 2006. So it's been here at Payop University in Chiang Mai since 2006. So, and then the Christian Conference of Asia is an international non-governmental organization with consultative status with the UN. You can see me here with my UN badge. This is in New York, and this is my UN badge in Geneva, Switzerland. So we do lobbying with the United Nations on issues of concern. The vision will be life together. And then mission will be to equip the churches for healing, for reconciliation. And then the goals would be to work with all faiths. Wider ecumenism means outside of Christianity. To empower the youth and women and to help communities in trouble. Okay, so these are some of its mission. So cooperating with all groups, and this organization is the oldest organization, ecumenical organizations in the world. And then they're also in Africa, in the Caribbean, in Europe, and in Canada. And remember, there are 103 individual churches and 17 national councils of churches, from Australia, New Zealand to Vietnam, up to Iran. All the members are in here. So these are parts of the mission of the Christian CCA, Christian Conference of Asia, Food Security and Asian Migrant Workers. Research question 2, what are the challenges before the pandemic? Again, the problems would include armed conflict, climate crisis, and economic crisis. So in 2016, members of the churches and councils came together to plan actions on what to do on food security. So many of the members are farmers themselves and farming institutes, organic, life-giving, no GMO Christian organizations. And we tilled a farm of the Karen village together, and they explained the King Rama IX's philosophy of self-sustaining agriculture and so on. And then in 2016 also, there were a meeting on migrant labor and how to fight trafficking. One of the Royal Academy of the Police in Thailand from Bangkok was a resource person, and an NGO dealing with trafficked girls and boys, minors, was here, and representative of Indonesia working in Hong Kong. So these are all people working on trafficking and migrant labor from all over Asia, working together. And then another meeting was held in Yangon to plan. Different Orthodox, Catholic, Protestant home churches came together to clamor for the rights of migrant labor. And then we visited, church leaders, the United Arab Emirates, the labor camps, to look at the condition of Asian migrant workers and what we can do to help them, basically telling the churches not to only go to churches and get the weekly contributions, the tithing of the rich migrant workers in the Middle East, but also to care for the blue collar migrant workers. And then more gathering from Australia, 2 persons from Australia, New Zealand, Bishop, and then planning also what to do on protecting migrant workers. And then that's Bishop of Australia, part of the Asian Christian Conference of Asia. Then meeting on human trafficking again, people from Switzerland, Palestine, Switzerland, all over came here, a few people from Switzerland. And we also visited Bahrain to care for the workers' interest. We talked with Sheikh, he's a relative of the king of Bahrain, about our concerns for the migrant workers. And we visited labor camps too. And then there was an eco school on climate, water, and food justice. This was before, so don't worry, before the COVID, a month or two or before. So we were sharing Filipino-style food in Chiang Mai. And then now, the third question is, during the pandemic, what is the ecumenical movement doing? This was a dilemma. Of course, the whole world was frozen, panicked. What do? We close shop, we close the office. So option 1 was we do nothing because, everything is in a standstill. Or we still mobilize the church. And like everyone else, we went Zooming. So one, Zoom was to organize, there's an Asia-wide agriculture center in Chiang Mai, here. And then it's called Eco Asia Foundation. Then the World Food Program in Bangkok had a representative telling us what are the issues. And then we have from Korea, the Asian Life-Giving Agriculture representative. So we had a meeting on what to do right now. So there were some recommendations of what should be, and there were many participants from all over Asia. We reached up to Iran, New Zealand, Australia, to Japan. Of course, Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia, and all that. And then on migrant workers, he's from Dubai, he's from Bahrain, Korea, in Indonesia, working in Hong Kong for migrant workers. Brand Press is in Chiang Mai for Myanmar migrant workers in the border area in northern Thailand, Bangladesh, Philippines, India. And then, so we planned what to do during the crisis. And then in Chiang Mai, inter-religious groups, Catholic, this was organized by the Hindus, saying let's pray together for mental health of people who are suffering right now. In Taipei Gate, this is one of the famous places in Chiang Mai. So there's Catholic, Protestant, Hindu, Muslim, Buddhist, of course, praying together. And we organized at least 3 food pantry where I participated. I organized my Thai friends and we cook food together to donate to the poor. And this is Sikh, Hindu, I'm Christian, we had Buddhists, all providing food. So I made 250 worth of food. Others donated sacks of uncooked rice, alcohol, and so on. In conclusion, so research question 1, I'm dealing with the Asian Regional Organization. Research question 2, pre-pandemic, what were we doing? So we were planning to advocate for the rights of workers in Asian food security. Third research question, and what we did during the pandemic. And the fourth question is what to do during the pandemic. So 2 things. For the food security side, we're calling the local farmers and people who went back to the villages, start, like it or not, to plant food from, sweet potato tops to pak boon and kana, all kinds of vegetables that will grow fast that you can eat. And then call for government to provide food security for the people. So locally, people can do something in their villages. At least they have the land out there. And then for Asian migrant workers, asking the churches to multiply services for the poor, the hungry, and migrant workers. Even in the Middle East, many of our churches just voluntarily went to the labor camps and provided food and alcohol and gloves and so on. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you for insightful presentation. Okay, it's time to hear commentary from our commentator. Okay, please, Mr. Dr. Chongsawat Jongwatpon.
Yes, okay, thank you for your presentation. You did mention about the research case and teaching case, and definitely what you are presenting it right now is the research case. When you try to report the reality, what the organization is doing right now. I think it might be some Christian type of organization, right? Non-profit organization, I believe. But if you would like to make it like a teaching case, you might have to assume that you are the maybe the top management or president of the organization in these regions, and then you have several projects that you are planning to do, like planting vegetables in these communities, or another options try to hold a conference or some other food security project, and you have to decide which project do you like to set up for the first priorities. If you twist that part, it will become the teaching case. But otherwise, right now, it just report the case. You have a very clear traditional research methodologies. You find the research gap, you talk about the objectives, figure out the way to collect the data, qualitative, quantitative, and I see a lot of bunch of the methodologies that you talk about, and then you report what happened. This is the traditional research case. But if you twist it like during the meetings, certain meetings, and there are 4 or 5 characters that are involved in the meetings, and they talk about, okay, we have several projects that we have to do during this pandemic, COVID-19. Here's the first option, second option, third options, and then you discuss what happened between these options, among these options, and then figure out pro and con of the first option, pro and con of the second option. If you twist it that way, that will become the teaching case.
Thank you, Ajahn. I learned so much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So let's hear from the others then.
Okay, thank you very much for commentary of commentator. All right, any question for Dr. Yati?
I found it interesting. It made me a little hungry seeing the pictures of food. One of my friends, he sells machines for making food. Did you look into, because during the pandemic, I know getting close to people is an issue. Did they consider machines for streamlining food making? I'm not sure, or for things like that? Was that?
We're trying to go appropriate technology. The lower the technology, the better. But we're open to ideas. We're open to ideas. Because we're working with farmers who are Christians all over Asia, and they're really fighting the big tech thing. Yeah.
I know. Oh, COVID's not helping the fight on the big tech. Yeah, I understand. I love the thought of people actually doing it and touching the food. I just thought, if it was producing more food with that less risk of infection.
I will raise that to them as why not, use machines and so on. Yeah, I will raise that. It's a great point. Yeah, economies of scale. Can produce more. Yeah.
Yeah, I figured then get more people food.
Right. Exactly. Great idea. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for the question.